Welcome to Words of the Prophets, a podcast where we discuss the latest talks from the General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My name is Todd, and today I have with me my friends Rivka and Burke. How are you today, Burke?
I'm doing great. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. It's a good day to be talking about General Conference. I love it. Rivka, how about you? How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Doing great.
Awesome.
I'm visiting my parents. I'm going to spend the whole day today canning peaches.
That sounds painful and then
No, it's great.
delicious in 6 months.
Very casual version of me today. We did a trip down to Brigham City from Idaho Falls to get a whole car full of peaches, and then, my dad stayed up here and put all of our bottles through the dishwasher. So shout out to him for that.
Good for him. I love it.
So
awesome.
Fun. Yeah.
Well, good. That sounds like fun. And then you just drive a bunch back to your place when you're done, and they keep some?
Yep.
Deanna and I, okay, man, I'm so bad at tangents, but I'm doing it. Just skip ahead 2 minutes, anyone who hates my tangents. Deanna and I are doing a Lord of the Rings party with some nerdy friends here in a few weeks.
Very fun.
On Bilbo's birthday, September 22nd. And one of our friends has a Hobbit cookbook. And so we made one jar of peaches, technically jarred peaches, not canned peaches, but canned peaches.
Well,
and because this is a deeply British, book and culture, we put malt vinegar in the jar of peaches, and a little bit of cinnamon. And because we were just doing one, we had a little bit left over. So we ate it without jarring it. It was incredible. It was so good. So you might experiment. Just toss a little bit of malt vinegar in there when you're doing your jarring.
I don't have any malt vinegar. I'll have to think about that. But for Burke's ones and mine, I do spice them. A little bit of a cinnamon stick, a couple cloves,
cinnamon,
an anise star.
Love it.
And
so good.
Yummy. Yep.
Yeah. We also had scones with clotted cream and jam. This is so good. Speaking of good, that's what we're going to talk about today. Things that are good, things that are better, and things that are best. An absolutely iconic talk by Elder Oaks.
Yes.
From 2007, October 2007. I could have sworn we'd talked about this, but I could not find it anywhere in our list of things we talked about. And this was suggested by a listener. Speaking of deeply British people, excuse me, our friend Steve from the UK. So we're very excited to talk about this, and it's just great. And in it, he talks about how we make our priorities in life. So we will start with Burke. Burke, what was your fundamental doctrine?
All right. He says a number of good things we can do far exceeds the time available to accomplish them. Some things are better than good, and these are the things that should command priority, attention in our lives.
I love it. So tell me about that.
Well, the interesting thing is I don't remember this talk being about primarily families and parenting. Because most of the times when I use this principle, it has to do with that because it's kind of the central tenet of my life, but it is so broadly applicable to all areas of life and development and the gospel. But I just love that he says there, he's like, you can do just good things and waste your time.
Totally. I love it. Broadly applicable. So give me an example that's not families and parenting. If this is something you've applied elsewhere, how have you used it?
Well, he brings up how you spend your free time.
He does.
Are you reading? Are you playing video games? He talks about a little bit about pleasure. But when you really think about it, and Elder Maxwell talks about this quite a bit, time, the importance of time and the way we spend our time. And if you look at that as being the one finite resource that we can't really get more of, then you should be apportioning it correctly. And then you look at the world and everything that is available to us, especially in our modern day, where rather than trying to survive all the time, we have more free time than people have ever had in the history of man, as far as we know. And we spend so much of it not developing in the way God wants us to develop, sadly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, I love it. Yeah, one thing you said there that goes along with what you said is at the very beginning, you said we should begin by recognizing the reality that just because something is good is not a sufficient reason for doing it. So, yeah, so hard.
The kind of cynical part of me is like, but what about all the people who don't even know about the gospel and get to do kind of whatever they want to, and they just need to do some good things to be better? That sounds great. Can't I just do some good things? Check the box and be done?
Sure.
No, you cannot.
You could.
You could.
You could. Knock yourself out.
Why is it a job well done is always rewarded with more job?
Yes.
Which we talked about last time.
Because
we're going to talk about next time also.
I know. We'll dig deep into that next time. For sure. So, okay, awesome. Well, it was going to come out eventually. I'm just going to throw it out now. But if Satan can't make you bad, he'll make you busy.
Yeah.
And he's not trying to make us bad in a lot of cases. Like if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a faithful, recommend holding member of the church who's doing their best, right? You're probably not somebody who is not engaged in the church. And so he's going to have a real hard time getting you to do something really bad or break your covenants in a really significant way. So he's just going to occupy your time with things that are good, that you think are good. And then you'll fritter it away until it's gone.
That's right.
So
your young men will be frittering.
I don't even know if I use that. I have no idea where that came from. I have not used that word in other than apple fritters.
Word.
The Music Man. That's what that was.
Okay, awesome. I love it. Well, let's move to Rivka's fundamental doctrine. What do you got for us, Rivka?
Okay. So this is the sentence that I remember when he gave it, and then it just had the most profound effect on me, and I think about it all the time. So he is talking about using our time, the entertainment choices we make, television, and that kind of stuff. But I've clicked out of that sort because I feel like this is also broadly applicable. So he said, he's talking about how there's all these things that we can do. It's good to do this stuff. But he says, but not everything is worth the portion of our life we give to obtain it. And that has always been a very profound thought for me, and something that comes up when I'm making decisions. Is this worth the portion of my life? There's always an expense that we pay for everything we do.
Right.
Even if that expense is just time. So is it worth the portion of my life that I'm living in exchange for this thing?
Okay. Do you have an example of that in your life where you've said, this is not worth the portion of my time that I'm giving it?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, requests that, I don't know, can you do this sort of thing, or do you want to be involved in this sort of thing? I kind of had to do a lot of that, in my homeschooling career with the community that we built. There was a lot of that kind of judgment call that I had to make. Sometimes it has been the pursuit of different relationships. Is continuing to pursue something like this worth that portion of time? Other times it's just been, something I want to be doing, spending my time in activity. I want to go do this activity, but there's probably something that's more needful for me to be doing. And so I get to forego that activity or opportunity. So it's pretty frequent.
Yeah. How do you balance that out, Rivka? Because there's things you probably like to do, like just sitting and reading a novel. How do you know if that's worth the portion of the time you're giving it? You certainly could get rid of that and do something else.
Well, yeah, I could. But sometimes is it this book? Sometimes is there a different book I could be reading that would be more beneficial to me? But it's not always oh, this is a frivolous thing or something that doesn't benefit others and maybe it only benefits me. That's not necessarily problematic. And yeah, but it is sort of really one of the questions I ask myself a lot is am I doing this thing that I like to avoid something that I know I should be doing instead of this, or watching this show because I'm trying to avoid or get out of doing something? That's a pretty good sign for me. If I'm using it as an escape or an excuse.
That's a hard thing to admit to ourselves sometimes.
It is.
So some relaxation, recreation, not inherently bad, and that's not what he's saying, I guess, that they're bad.
No.
It can be
And
good.
Sometimes that might be best,
Right.
you know? Like there are definitely times. I was just talking to a friend today who's going through a really hard thing, and she has a weekend right now where she doesn't have things that need to get done.
Right.
Stuff is calendared for next week, and she has a break. And so I was like, maybe the thing you need to do this weekend is actually rest, sleep. Don't worry. Put down the heavy burden you're dealing with right now because you have that time, you know, for 48 hours.
Yeah.
So sometimes that really is the best thing to do.
Okay. All right. I
Yep.
like it. Those are hard decisions to make sometime, easy to justify. The way you describe it, you have to be really honest with yourself, right?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
And lots of times when we're going to the temple in the evenings, that's something that comes up like, we're tired. Do we just need to rest tonight or whatever?
Mhm.
And I never regret going, but you always have to overcome that sort of inertia.
That's true.
So.
Mhm.
Okay, Burke, let's go back to you. We got the fundamental principle here of choosing the thing that is best. What else stood out to you for quotes?
All right. He says, many breadwinners worry that their occupations leave too little time for their families. And I was like, oh, good. He's gonna help me out here and give you some guidelines. There is no easy formula for that contest of priorities.
Yep.
You know, and I feel conflicted even bringing this up because I spent, you know, last year rearranging my business and my work schedule so I would have more free time, more home time, and now I've added additional graduate level education. I don't have a way to reconcile that other than it felt like the thing to do at the time. And so much of this is really, what does the Spirit guide you to do? Which comes down to all gospel questions, having the Spirit with you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's pretty easy though, Burke. You know, that's no big
That's
deal.
right. Set up your checklist, check off the list. You will have
and then you have it. Yeah.
You will do the right things. And yeah, this is a difficult one for me. And it's coupled by later on when he talks about, you know, decreasing church requirements, you know, structured church requirements, so you have more family time, but also that only works if then when you're home with your family, you use that time to do the right things at home. And it's all interconnected. And I would love to tell everyone out there how to do this correctly, but I'm not even sure I'm doing it correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Elder Oaks is not sure he's doing it correctly sometimes. Right?
But I mean, there are some simple things too. Like I got home yesterday and I was going to do a trip to Costco on the way home from work. And then I decided I was too tired. So I didn't. I came home, I took a nap. And then since I was home, I decided to take my daughter with me. And I don't know how she feels about those little trips, but they're one of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah.
Going to Costco or going to the hardware store with my daughter. And you might think, well, that's kind of a silly thing. But for me, it's not. Those are the things I remember with my own mom. Like seriously, going one-on-one shopping with my mom, because those were one of the few times I had one-on-one time with my mom growing up. She would actually rotate which sibling got to go grocery shopping with her. And I remember having friends that are like, I don't want to go shopping with my mom. Who cares? Because they could do it anytime. But for me, it was like once every other month you got that chance.
Yeah.
And so it really is a situation where I think he would love to be able to give us a list, but there is no one list.
There's not.
There's no one way.
Yeah. Yeah, he tells that story in here of going on a big vacation, and then the child, when he was talking about his favorite thing, is like, it was just that time we laid down on the ground and looked at the stars, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. So, Burke, I think this section is really applicable to you and me because we both are in jobs where the amount of money we make is tied in a 1-to-1 correlation with how much we work.
Yep.
I don't work, I don't get paid. The more I work, the more I get paid. Same with you. And then, so putting apart the law school, which I'm going to say was inspirational. So you're doing what God wanted you to do. How do you make that decision of how much to work?
Well, I think the way I made it was by working way too much for a long time and then witnessing what it did to my life and trying to decide what is the amount that I can still work while leaving the amount of time that God wants me. And for me, really, it was being honest with myself about the days I most hated going to work. Because I have the ability to change my schedule, I found that I didn't enjoy Sabbath very much when I had to go to work either that afternoon to get to the place I was working the next morning or early the next morning. So when I finally had total control of my schedule, I said, you know what, I'm just not going to work Monday. Monday will be my administrative day, and that will allow me to have a Sunday that is not encumbered by the awfulness of going to work the next morning. And I know not everyone has that ability, but for me, it was really just being honest with myself is what will maximize my favorite time of the week, which is Sunday, without putting too much work stuff on it. And I have mostly kept Mondays free. I mean, I do administrative things. It's also when I can get to doctor's appointments and other things, which, as a physician, it's really hard for physicians to go to the physician because when physicians work is also when we work. But then there are a couple times in the next couple of months when I will work a Monday or two filling in for a friend that had some things happen. But really it was, I don't know, it's so hard for me to even put it in a concrete term, but it was being honest with myself about when I hated working. Because I don't always hate working. A lot of times I actually enjoy working, but I don't enjoy it all the time. And so that, and again, that will vary person to person. I really wish that I could give a better sit down, do this, you will know. But that's kind of how it worked out for me. I don't know. I don't have a great way to say it other than that.
Okay. I think the guiding principle he gives here at the end of that paragraph is he's never known a man who looked back on his working life and said, I just didn't spend enough time with my job.
Yeah, but you know what? I've met a lot of people my age who very much regret not having put more into their careers.
I think that's different. Right?
It might be that when they die, they can't remember all those times, but I know some pretty miserable people my age who goofed off when they were younger who really wish they wouldn't have. So I recognize, but you can't make every decision in your life based on if I was dead tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because then you wouldn't go to work at all. Like if I was going to die tomorrow, sweet, I'm done. I don't have to do anything else.
Yeah.
I can just hang out and read scriptures all day and hug my kids. But that's not what life actually is. So I love that sentiment in that it does make us look at things differently. But I don't think you can shape your life based on that. I really don't.
Yeah. I don't think he's saying if you die tomorrow, and I don't think he's saying don't invest in your career. I mean, you and I invested heavily financially and in terms of especially time for a decade to build up the ability to even be physicians. And there were lots of sacrifices that were made. I mean, Rivka and Deanna could get together and show scars, but that was the return on investment of that is that we're financially stable. And now we do have the ability to control how much we work if we want. I mean, for years at my last job, I worked 80% time because I didn't need that extra 20% of the money. And that was a huge, huge benefit to be there at home when my kids were at home. So,
which also gave you the ability for more church service as well.
Yes, absolutely. With decreased stress. So, I might, gonna just wade into controversial gender dynamics here. I know that things have changed a lot. There are more female breadwinners now, or more just women who share the, equally with their spouse and earning money. But I think, I can't speak for women, but I wonder, maybe Rivka can answer this. How would your life be different if you looked back and during your kids' younger years, you had been, in a challenging career that was taking a lot of your time?
I have no idea. I mean, other than the obvious, there are a lot of experiences I wouldn't have had with my kids, like going to petting zoos kind of experiences and being able to do preschool groups and stuff, which I love, but I don't know. I think there are, in conversations that I've had with a lot of women about this, there are some women who I feel like genuinely do better splitting their time between some aspect of a career and being at home. That's what they need. And there are some women who, like me, really Burke and I did everything we could so I could be at home full time. And a lot of times that meant we beans and riced it for a lot of years, being really broke so I could do that. And then there are some women who just have to, because of, by virtue of what life has brought, they have to make that really difficult balance between the two. So I'm not, again, I think it's like you guys are talking about with your balancing the amount of effort and time you put into work versus the time you invest and put into home. It is an individual thing. And I don't think there's one, cookie cutter answer for everyone. So again, like so much of this talk is coming back to, you're going to have to sit down with the spirit and figure out what the right priorities are for you in your personal growth, for your home, what will be best for your home, your marriage, your children, if you have them. And yeah, I don't think there's one right answer.
Yeah. I mean, he said that exact thing, right? He can't answer it for us.
Yeah. There's not one right answer. So my life would look drastically different if I had to do that, because it would have been against what my desire and needs were. But I don't know that that's true for every woman. Yeah.
No, I don't think there's one single way to approach it for every man or every woman. So
right. Yeah.
I know my mom was forced into a career in midlife due to a divorce. And one of the things she told me, she passed away when I was 19. One of the things she told me was, whatever you do, find and marry a woman who's willing to stay home with your kids. Now, she's not saying that every woman should do that. What that was an expression of was her regret that she loved being home with us when she could, and that then she was forced out of that later. So, not every person's the same. Like you said, some people do better splitting time or however. I think the point of all of that is to say, Elder Oaks also said, we can't make that decision for you. It's complicated. It's hard. You're going to have to figure it out. And the principle at the end of that section, at the end of section 2 that he talks about, is the First Presidency has called on parents to devote their best efforts to the teaching and rearing their children. So it didn't say to women, it says to parents. And so using the being a provider as an excuse for a man or a woman to not giving their best to their kids, I think goes against that principle. So however that breaks down in your family, who's earning what, doing what, and when, our best efforts should go to our kids, not to our jobs.
Yeah, I was just, as you guys were talking about kind of that, figuring that balance out with you guys, I was thinking, I mean, I know this for certain with Burke, and I'm 99% sure you feel the same way, Todd. Like, he put in a ton of effort into work, but when he came home, he wanted to be there and he was home.
Yeah.
He wasn't in the, house just existing and doing whatever, still separate from the kids and I. He was home, he was involved, and always like so glad to be walking through the door. I'm so grateful to be home, and I want to be here more than anywhere else if I'm not at work. And I think that kind of mindset is significant. So even if the amount of time at home was not what he wanted or what someone might consider ideal, the being there was significant.
Yeah. Because it's easy to get into I'll quote someone I do not respect who used to be related to me and no longer is because of divorce, but bringing up as a physician, like when you're at work, you get to tell people what to do, and then when you come home, you have to empty the garbage. And that was evidence to that person of like, why wouldn't you just spend more time at work?
Yeah.
Because then you get more money and people respect you.
Yeah.
And I guess if that's really what you're looking for, is the respect of people who don't matter.
Yeah.
Sure. But he does say that in here. Oh, from a Gordon B. Hinckley quote, work at our responsibility as parents as if everything in life counted on it, because in fact, everything in life does count on it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Parenting's the number one priority. And he didn't talk about this as much. I just want to fold in here. I said number one. It's number two. Your spouse is number one, because your kids are eventually going to leave.
It's true.
No, they won't.
Not
He's
anymore.
in heavy denial this year because our house is emptying completely in the next 12 months. So
Us
Yeah,
too.
this was much easier to deal with when everyone else's kids were leaving, and I was like, yeah, no big deal. And now that it's mine,
I know.
I really do not like this transition. I can say for sure now.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
wait
He's
till
gonna be
you're
stuck
just-
with just me. It's terrible. Me and all my journals and my books.
Burke, you're close to the days that we're experiencing, where we're already using the cliche of like, our kids never call us, and of course they do, but we want to talk to them all the time, and
All
we're
the
just
time.
like, let's have a family video chat, and they're like, we're busy, and we're like,
Yeah, I know. I remember someone once saying, your children will never love you as much as you love them. And I was like,
Oh.
I hate that so
That's
much. But it's true.
kind of brutal.
No, but it's true. They won't. And they need to be, love their own spouse and their children and what
yeah.
they're
By
doing.
extension,
But
it gives you a little glimpse into how much God loves us.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably sitting around going, I wish they
We
would
will.
just call.
Yeah. They talk to me like 3 times a day at most, like 5 minutes.
Oh, so true.
Oh, man.
Okay, well, I wanted to read a quote here. So, it is something that I have felt very passionately about, and my kids just got totally sick of me talking about, and I mostly lost this argument with them. But here it is.
Ooh.
The amount of children and parent time absorbed in the good activities of private lessons, team sports. Talk about some sacred cows here. He just went after some sacred
Oh, yeah.
private
True.
lessons, team sports, other school and club activities needs to be carefully regulated. So this is different than the talk he just had about your job, your career, where he's like, I don't have answers for you. Be the best parent you can, follow the spirit. This is like, this needs to be regulated. Otherwise, children will be overscheduled and parents will be frazzled and frustrated. Any parents out there feel that way? Any kids feel that way? Yes, all of them. Parents should act to preserve time for family prayer, family scripture study, family home evening, and the other precious togetherness and individual one-on-one time that binds a family together and fixes children's values on things of eternal worth. Parents should teach gospel priorities through what they do with their children. I'm going to read that again. Parents should teach gospel priorities through what they do with their children. So hard to live. I mean, we've talked many times on this podcast about just the being on a river, being overwhelmed, with the current and whatever it is of social things or, Netflix or whatever it is that just is so strong. You have to actively row against it or you'll just be pulled down. This is completely one. And I've told this story before, but last year teaching seminary, the kids brought up spontaneously how overwhelmed they were, overscheduled. They had all these things. And just very gently, I put a little probe out there. What if you dropped one of your activities so you didn't feel this way? Absolute, immediate, vehement rejection of that idea. I can't not do, track and football and volleyball and music and this. Like, what? Life wouldn't be worth living. And, of course, but then I guess my life's not worth living because I grew up just like running around the neighborhood. So yeah, just such a hard thing to do. We're so overwhelmed by it. What are your guys' thoughts on this principle?
And so many more opportunities, because I think about that when we were younger. One, like my parents did not have the money to do all that. Like that, just a lot of it wasn't an option for us as kids because there was no money to pay for it. And 2, everybody else was also not doing that stuff.
Yep.
You had your group of friends that you were riding bikes around the city with or doing whatever because none of the kids were that well overscheduled. If you had a friend who was that overscheduled, everyone felt real bad for them. There's like, that stinks. So I think part of it is a cultural thing that you have to push against if you're not going to do this, because that's what everyone asks you about as parents. Oh, what are your kids, doing? What are they involved in? Here's all the stuff that my kids are doing. And if you're like, oh, they, hang out and ride bikes and do whatever. I think sometimes the assumption is like, oh, they just sit at home and play video games then. And it's like, no, it's not that. But yeah, it's hard because it is a cultural thing now, I think. Even if you can't afford it, you're sticking your kids in all that stuff because that's what everybody does. And so, I don't know, if you have a desire to be countercultural in any way, here's a good way. Rebel.
Rebellious.
Yeah. But the interesting thing for me, looking at my sibling and parents' family, is my parents tenaciously protected together time. Like, you had to have a very good reason to be gone from the house on a weekday after dinner. And dinner was together at 5:00 pretty much every day. But my family in that regard is still shattered. It didn't it didn't guarantee anything other than it guaranteed the memories I have that are central for me, developed and are important to me.
Yeah.
But it didn't guarantee anything for my siblings. And so that's another hard thing too, is, I mean, you can say, yeah, I mean, even says in here talking about dinner time. Let's see. This is most concerning because the time a family spends together eating meals at home is the strongest predictor of children's academic achievement and psychological adjustment. Family meal times have also been shown to be a strong bulwark against children smoking, drinking, or using drugs. There is inspired wisdom in this advice to parents. What your children really want for dinner is you. But at the same time, I grew up in a family that always did that, and my siblings still all went separate ways.
Yeah.
The gospel and with their lives and with their families and with marriage and divorce and all those things. And Rivka and I, because of my work schedule and very rigid and sometimes insurmountable dietary preferences and or needs in our families, we rarely eat dinner together. And if we do, often it's not even the same food.
Yeah.
Despite Rivka trying to do this really well for years, and maybe her and the kids did it better, but I was gone a lot. And so, again, he's like, here's one really great thing you can do that we never managed to do very well. I don't know.
I think it's in everything. It's like, here's an ideal, and you figure out, I mean, what's the underlying thing, right? Like, having family dinner together is not a saving ordinance. It's not a gospel standard. You know what I mean? But what is the benefit that comes from it? And I think with that, everyone is there together and kind of trapped because you're all eating, and that's the food. So are there other areas in your day or in your family's rhythm where you are all together and interacting with each other? Maybe it's a game night, or maybe that's what you do when you're in between soccer games, like my friend Catherine used to do, and having family dinner in the back of the minivan or on the crock pot that was plugged into the outlet in the back of the minivan. So it can look different. And so much of that also, I think this idea of like sitting your family down and eating, that is parental decision-making and effort that goes into that. So is your parental decision-making and effort going into having dedicated time every day with your family and not just having everyone run amok all the time or not caring where they are, being gone after dinner and out all night with friends, which is probably when, people start playing around with cigarettes or that kind of stuff. I don't think it's like a magic wand, but I think there is some wisdom to parents in the dedicated time and effort put into whatever it is that your family does that brings you together daily.
Yeah. And I don't think eating dinner together guarantees anything, but it is powerful. And the paragraph I read didn't have anything to do with that. It was about teaching your kids priorities through choices. And so if you're skipping church or, youth activities or your own, parental things,
turning down callings, that kind of stuff that they see.
If you're going to soccer on Sunday instead of church, teaching your kid that church is, not as important as soccer or other, club activities. If you just can't make it to seminary because, I'll give you a concrete example that happened in our lives. In show choir, the competition season runs really late at night. So on Saturdays, you do a competition, you get home 2, 3, sometimes 4 in the morning, crazy, right? Church was at 10. First time that happened, Lawson missed church because he slept through and or gave us, I can't remember if he missed or it was just he was giving us a hard time about waking up. But anyways, we sat him down, whatever the details are, we sat him down and said, if you're going to miss church because of show choir, you quit show choir. Those are your two options. You either come to church or you don't, come to church after show choir, or you don't do show choir. Church is number one priority no matter what. And you could argue, well, show choir's season's only 3 months long. I'm not going to miss every time. What's the big deal? But the big deal is you're choosing your priorities.
A mindset.
So does that guarantee Lawson will be a faithful church-going member his whole life? No. But if we taught him explicitly that show choir was more important than church, he would have a lesser chance of that outcome.
Yeah.
So,
and that would be on you.
Sorry, go ahead, Rev.
Oh, I was saying that would be on you. Like, kids have agency.
Right.
But we have an opportunity when they're younger to help them learn how to use their agency, which is really what you're saying.
Yeah.
Which is similar for me. My dad's thing was, unless you have a good reason, you should be in bed by 10:30 Saturday night so you're not tired for church on Sunday. And even now, 30 years later, Saturday night around 10:30, I start getting this feeling like, well, I should go to bed so I'm not tired for church tomorrow. And I'm not sorry for that, because you can take time out of your Sabbath with what you do on Saturday.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but our Friday night and Saturday night curfews were different. Midnight on Friday night, 11 p.m. on Saturday night.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Just
I've
that same honoring.
thought through it that way or heard it expressed like that. Interesting. Well, he circles back to this later, talking about some young men and women are skipping church activities in order to do soccer leagues or pursue entertainment. So he's sort of repeating the point. And then he closes that off by saying, some young people are amusing themselves to death, spiritual death. So just to tie that one up.
And you could remove young people. Some people are amusing themselves to death, spiritual death. Yeah,
100%.
I would say this is the plague of our time.
For sure.
Amen.
Well, maybe more. So when I read that, I was thinking, it brought to mind the book Brave New World. Have either of you read that? Aldous Huxley. Classic, mid-20th century. Yep. And it's a dystopian sort of novel, but one of the things that the dystopian society has done is there's this medication called Soma that makes everyone relax. There's no stress. There's no responsibility. You go to the movies. The whole point is they want their society to be happy. And so it's all entertainment and no responsibility. And so one of the quotes that I was thinking about when I read this is from the book. From one of the guys who, because it's a dystopian novel, is fighting against this dystopian ideal, right? And trying to get things back. Actual happiness always looks pretty squalid in comparison with the overcompensations for misery.
Wait. Say that again, because I did not get it.
Actual happiness always looks pretty squalid in comparison with the overcompensations for misery, which is what he's calling entertainment and excitement, the overcompensations for misery. And of course, stability isn't nearly so spectacular as instability. And being contented has none of the glamour of a good fight against misfortune, none of the picturesqueness of a struggle with temptation, or a fatal overthrow by passion or doubt. Happiness is never grand.
Manageable grandeur.
Manageable grandeur. But so when he's talking about that, when amusing ourselves to spiritual death, that's what that reminded me of is kind of one of the lessons from that book, which is it seems like it should be great and things are exciting and like you could do a lot of stuff that's very entertaining and fun, but that he calls those things overcompensations for misery is an interesting opportunity for self-reflection, I think.
That reminds me of when you said the opposite of happiness isn't sadness, it's ease, because you're just stripping away that feeling.
Ease, numbness. Just
overcompensating for misery through numbness. Interesting. Wow. Okay, well, guess what? We could talk about this for another hour, but I gotta go watch some TikTok videos, so let's wrap it up here. Burke, can you give us an invitation you found?
I mostly marked invitations here. Here we go. Don't magnify the work to be done. Simplify it.
I love the out of context quote. Don't. It's interesting though that he's used the word magnify, which of course we think of magnify our callings, but
And I think that's why he used it.
I know. Don't enlarge the amount of work that you need to do. Simplify it. We didn't even go. He went through a whole section on church callings, on making it.
This is an entire principle in engineering, where often you look to fix a problem by adding something, when sometimes you can fix the problem by taking something away.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was my goal in simplifying my work schedule, which I have then added law school to. So I don't know. I don't know if I have guidance in this area, but I tried to simplify. I really did.
You did. The Lord allowed you to do that for a couple of years, and then he was like, okay, you get the principle. Time to move on and do some more stuff.
And he's like, we got to fill your time so you can manage the disappointment of your children leaving you.
That's true.
Give you something to do.
Very well be. Yeah.
That's true. Amen. Okay, Rivka, what do you got for an invitation?
Okay, he calls it a caution, but I love this part of the talk because I was like, these men really are prophets. Here's the caution for families. Suppose, this is in 2007, suppose church leaders reduce the time required by church meetings and activities in order to increase the time available for families to be together. Yep. That happened in 2019.
Yep.
This will not achieve its intended purpose unless individual family members, especially parents, vigorously act to increase family togetherness and one-on-one time.
Oof.
So here's an invitation from 2007 that was given to us explicitly again in 2019. So the invitation is take some time to think about, is that happening? The stuff you used to rely on spiritually for your children and yourselves that came from church, are you taking care of that now for yourself and in your home?
Wow. I mean, you were smiling when you said it, but that felt like a 9 on the Bednar Index, Rivka.
Maybe I'm just smiling because if you do it, President Nelson said, this is not a direct quote, but basically the idea was, like, the blessings you receive from doing this will be beyond your comprehension.
Yeah.
And I'm smiling because that has absolutely been my experience with it. So this isn't a 9 or a 10 on the Bednar Index, but those high Bednar Index things tend to come with profound and significant life and home changing and improving blessings. So don't run from them. Lean in.
Indeed. Yeah, lean into the discomfort and do some work. Speaking of Bednar Indexes and work, the next talk is called Consider the Wondrous Works of God by Elder David A. Bednar, a BYU devotional from 2024. One of my favorite BYU devotionals. It's incredible. There is some Bednar Index here, so you'll feel it if you've never read this talk. If you haven't, take some time in the next few days and read it so that when we release that episode, you will be prepared and have all the background. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, we're at Words of the Prophets Podcast on Gmail, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So thank you for joining us today. And until next time, keep the faith.